weldability of metals by solid state joining. Okay, so I think yesterday I gave some idea of like the factors that significantly determine this ease of joining. So how to define a weldability, about that we have already talked. Like you have to consider the given procedure, given purpose, and the fabrication conditions for joining, and how easily, how economically the joint can be made of the desired quality. That will be indicating or giving us the idea of the weldability or the ease of joining. Okay, so if you have to consider the different factors that are related with the metal itself for a given set of the procedure for a given purpose, then we need to see this what are the metal what are the, like say, the different characteristics related with the metal that will be affecting the ease of joining. So metal characteristics need to be seen, because on the other hand there will be number of the joining related aspects as well. So metal characteristics, so the metal characteristics that are important from the ease of joining by solid state joining processes is, say, the chemical properties. It is primarily about the composition of the metal. Then another aspect related with the chemical property is like affinity of the metal with the atmospheric gases. So then another set of the another category of the property is like physical properties. So physical properties, you have the two main. One is thermal conductivity and another is thermal expansion coefficient, which play important role in dictating the ease of joining. Then mechanical properties. And these are like yield strength, then the ductility, which can be checked using the number of or expressed using the number of parameters, and the work hardening tendency or the strain hardening tendency of the metal. Then the dimensional properties. It's about the thickness. So not very thick, not very thin sheets can be easily welded, but the thickness, the sheets or the components of the moderate thicknesses can be done easily. Like if they are very thin, like 200 micrometer or 500 micrometer, like half mm, then that will make the joining little difficult, and same is true for very thick, like 50 mm or 100 mm thick section joining. So thickness is one aspect. Then the geometry of the component is the another. Like simple plate form, the component in the simpler sections or simple forms can be joined easily as compared to the complex ones, where you need very controlled path of the tool or the heat source for the joining purpose, like in tubes or further the complex geometries of the components. Because in those cases there will be increased tendency of the differential expansion and contraction, making the distortions. Distortions will be making the joining difficult, and that in turn will be reducing the ease of joining basically. Okay, so the thickness and the geometry and like say the configuration is another one, like which kind of the joint is to be made. So the joint configuration is the another aspect. Uh, you see, so these are basically the metal characteristics. We haven't talked about the metallurgical. There is also possibility to consider the metallurgical characteristics uh, related with the metals, and which will primarily be coming from the metal strengthening mechanisms. Here primarily we consider the physical metallurgy of the metals. Okay, so starting with the composition, uh, composition is important because it affects the number of things. It affects like say if you take simple iron with the very little amount of the carbon, you know, so it may be of non-hardening kind through the thermal treatments, no phase transformation. Okay, it may not show the significant protection from the atmospheric gases. So but if you keep on changing the composition, like through the addition of the chromium or through the increased carbon content or the nickel or like say uh, the increasing percentage of the carbon, so each will be uh, leading to the different kind of the change in the metal characteristics. So earlier say if it was not work hardening, then on addition of the chromium and nickel it may become significantly, it may show significant work hardening. Similarly earlier it was not having much of the, or when there is a only carbon in iron, it would show a lot of affinity to the atmospheric gases. It may get oxidized, it may form rust, but when you add the chromium and those things, you may find that the affinity has been reduced and the metal is protected. So similarly if there is a complete shift on the metal, like say if you are switching directly from the iron to aluminum, then to copper, then titanium, so each will be behaving completely in different way. Why? Because it will show entire different set of the physical properties in terms of K or alpha, thermal expansion coefficient, in terms of the physical metallurgical response. Okay, then in terms of the yield strength and the percentage elongation. So you know that with the change of composition there is a change in the affinity of the metal with the atmospheric gases, the change in physical properties, like say you know, when the steel is having very limited percentage of the carbon, thermal conductivity is high, but when you add the higher percentage of chromium and nickel to make it stainless steel, the thermal conductivity is reduced, the thermal expansion coefficient is increased. So with the change of composition there will be change in composition will be leading to the many changes. Okay, in terms of physical properties, chemical sorry, these mechanical properties or physical metallurgy. Okay, so when these changes are taking place due to the change of composition, this in turn is going to affect the ease of joining. So what we need to consider is, whenever there is an alteration of the composition, either through the controlled alloying or through the addition of a certain reinforcing agent, they will be leading to the change in physical properties or mechanical properties, or metallurgical properties also can get modified significantly, and these factors in turn will be affecting the ease. Why they will be affecting? Because whatever you are applying in form of pressure, in form of heat, so the effect of application of heat and pressure, that will be uh, influenced on the way by which metal is responding with the change of composition. Okay, so the point is simple. The composition is leading to the change in physical properties, physical metallurgy, mechanical properties. Okay, and these in turn will be leading to the change in response of metal to the heat and pressure. Okay, these are the two things that we usually apply in your solid state joining. And if this response, like either it is getting deformed very easily or it is not getting deformed. One, either it is getting thermally softened easily or it is not. It is either getting work hardened or it is not. It is getting refined or not. So there are various possibilities, various things. There can be physical metallurgical transformation, there may not be any metallurgical transformation. So change in composition can bring in lot of changes, okay, in the metal. So the response of the metal to the heat and pressure is affected, and that in turn will be affecting the way by which the interfacial metallurgical continuity is realized in solid state joining. And if this is affected, then you can say your ease of joining is affected. In positive or negative way, that will depend upon the way by which the change in composition is going to affect the physical, mechanical, or physical metallurgical properties of the metals. Okay, so this is because the composition in the metals, it is the main composition that we need on these changes. That's why it needs a little elaborate explanation. Now, going by little more details of these properties, okay, the affinity with the atmospheric gases. So how do you understand this? Its role on the ease of joining. Anybody can respond? What is the meaning of affinity with the atmospheric gases? So affinity with the atmospheric gases, what is its meaning? You know that whenever the metal, you know, there are different metals and each will have the different kind of the affinity or ability to react, or ability to react with the gases which are all around, like say during the joining. These are mostly in form of oxygen and nitrogen, atmospheric gases which are present. So the metals which are having the high affinity, they will be forming easily their oxides. This is what happens in case of aluminium or magnesium oxide or titanium oxide. Like these are the things which are, because they have very high affinity. Same is true for the stainless steel, where it forms like the chromium oxide also. Okay, the different types of the oxides of these metals are formed, and this happens primarily because of their high affinity. Titanium also forms the titanium nitrides whenever it is presented. So whenever these are formed, you know, so either these will be hindering the diffusion, no, because these will be presented the interface, or if these are left and the joint is developed in the presence of these oxides, so they will be acting as a inclusion. So there are two things that are that will in the solid state joining mm, uh, that will be affecting the ease of joining due to the affinity of the metal with the atmospheric gases. One is uh, like the presence of these oxides or the reaction products that will be hindering the diffusion. This is one. These will be reducing the metallic intimacy, direct metal to metal contact will be reduced in presence of these reaction products. And third is, if the joint is developed with these reaction products, then it is maybe there as inclusion in the joint, in the weld or the joint interface. Okay, so if these are present at the interface as inclusion, it depends what kind of the joint is being formed. Like in FSW, you may get the large joint, the deformed joint like this, very fine and recrystallized joint, with the presence of fine inclusions here and there. That's also possible. Or the joint may be simple flat straight interfaces formed like this. So here also you may have inclusions here and there. So in both the cases, these inclusions will be acting as stress raisers. So once the inclusions are present or discontinuities are present, or they have if they are present and hindered the diffusion, then metallic intimacy that will be reduced, and that in turn will adversely affect the metallurgical continuity. So as far as the role of inclusions is concerned, this can affect the joint performance in number of ways. The first thing, it will be reducing the metal to metal contact area. So your like say this is the joint and this is the portion where inclusion is present. So now this will not be taking as a load, this will not be taking the load. So whenever the stresses are applied, wherever there is a metallurgical continuity, only that will be taking the load. So basically the effective, or you can say actual load cross sectional area is reduced in presence of the inclusions or the discontinuities if they are there. So for a given load, if the A actual is reduced, then your stresses will increase. So actual stress at the interface will increase. So their load carrying capacity of the joint will be reduced. This is one thing. The second thing is depending upon the size and the shape, or you can say the geometry or morphology, different words are used, morphology of the inclusions, these may act as stress raisers. Stress raisers. So if the inclusion is of the spherical geometry, it is not that harmful. If the inclusion is of the needle shape, it is very harmful. So high aspect ratio, like say the length to width, say 5 or 6, and here it is say almost 0.7 to 1.25. So it is close to the spherical family. So those which are of the high aspect ratio inclusions, they will be offering the higher stress concentration at the metal inclusion interface, especially near these tips. So high stress concentration in case of the high aspect ratio inclusions will be more, and you know that increased concentration of the stresses at the tip of these inclusions, that will simply be increasing the actual stresses being experienced by the metal in vicinity of these discontinuities or the inclusions. So that will be reducing that will be triggering the cracks, that will be facilitating the decohesion, and in turn that will be reducing the load carrying capacity of the joint. So So basically the fracture, or you can say the failure tendency of the joint is increased in presence of these inclusions. So if you have not cleaned, or if because of the high affinity of the metals with the atmospheric gases, these inclusions were formed and have not been removed, then joining by solid state joining of metals by solid state joining processes can affect the ease of joining in these different ways. Okay, so the first, what I said, it reduces the metallic intimacy, it reduces the diffusion across the interface, and it leads to the development of these inclusions, or presence of inclusions. The presence of inclusions further deteriorate the performance of the mechanical performance of the joint. Okay, so here you can see those which are highly having the high affinity, they will certainly be problematic for in development of the sound. So even maybe if you use the effective shielding of the metals during the joining, that may result in very good or improved quality of the joint. Just for an example or schematic understanding, if here I write the affinity of the metal to the atmospheric gases, say, this side increasing affinity, okay, and here the ease of joining, now how to quantify the ease of joining, that is what you have already seen, right? Good quality joint with minimum efforts. Minimum efforts means with the fewer steps, fewer time, and the less costly machines, less skill, like that. So if the efforts are less and the quality is good, that will be leading to the very easy joining. So if that has to be characterized, so ease of joining is badly compromised with the increased affinity of the metals to the atmospheric gases. So if we see that kind of trend, this affinity may be like this. For if you change the process, it will change significantly. So aluminum and magnesium may show the significant drop in the ease of joining, like this. Okay, say if you take another metal which is having somewhat lesser affinity to the atmospheric gases, the compromise with the ease of joining may not be that high. Say this is for copper. Okay, and if you talk of the steels, the compromise with the ease of joining may be further less. It will be reduced, but not that high. So the point here that I am trying to make, if the metal is having the higher affinity with the atmospheric gases, you need to take extra precautions, you have to take more efforts. I'll give simple example. You need to use in any case like inert gases, for example helium and argon. But in case of steel, if you want to protect it further for better quality joint, maybe you can work with even CO2, so it's fine, that's less costly. So the point here is the kind of efforts you have to make in to develop the same quality or the sound joint of given performance. Then you see the increased efforts, reduced ease of joining. It's very simple. Increased cost for a given quality, reduced ease of joining. So that ease of joining is compromised with the increase in affinity of the metal to the atmospheric gases. Okay, because you need to take a special precautions, you need to use the costly procedures for protecting the metal, protecting the joint from the adverse effects of these reaction products which will be produced through the interaction between the metal and the atmospheric gases. Okay, this is one thing. The second thing is about the next property is the thermal expansion coefficient. Thermal expansion coefficient or thermal conductivity. So you know these both. You are. I hope you will be familiar with both these. Uh, the thermal expansion coefficient. It's a linear thermal expansion coefficient. Basically, the kind of or the extent of change that is experienced by the metal for unit degree of the change in temperature. Similarly, the kind of how easily the heat is transferred for in a unit time from the unit area of the metal for a given temperature difference. So those are the things which need to be fixed in. So the higher heat transfer or the lower heat transfer depending upon the thermal conductivity for a given temperature difference, given section thickness, and for so these are the two things that will be dictating the ease of the transfer of the heat. Okay, so see what I was saying. Any idea of like how can we understand the role of the thermal conductivity and thermal expansion in solid state joining? Anybody can respond? No, even if they are of the same, then for example, you take the steel sheet of 1 mm, right? And you take the steel sheet of the aluminium. You take the steel sheet of aluminium. You need the different level of precautions. You need the different energy levels. Now, and why? Because whenever you apply heat or pressure, no, both the metals will not be responding in the same way towards the deformation, towards the metallurgical continuity or the diffusion. They will behave completely different way. So the point here is, just for example, I hope you will be knowing spot welding. No? So when steel is welded, it requires very less heat. Say 1 mm thick sheet, maybe you can weld 1500 ampere or so. But for aluminium, you need much higher level of current. Why? Because it has got very good thermal conductivity, so it generates very less heat. It has got very good electrical conductivity, so it generates very less heat by electrical resistance heating. And whatever heat is generated, that is dissipated very rapidly. So you see, the two metals having the different thermal conductivity, different thermal expansion coefficients, especially with regard to thermal conductivity. First, if we talk of whatever heat is generated or it is applied from outside, that will be dissipated either very fast or it will take very long time. And that will make the difference in whether metal will be softened, whether the diffusion and the metallic closeness will be realized or not. Okay, so what I was saying, if we are using the solid state joining process, do not name the process. So here one metal combination, they are similar metal joining. One is having the K thermal conductivity and another is having the 2K. Okay, so whether you apply the heat from outside or it is generated under in situ conditions like in ultrasonic welding, or it is applied from outside like in resistance welding, generated internally but due to the electrical current heating. So in both the cases, say when the heat dissipation rate is low for low thermal conductivity metal, the interfacial temperature will be high. So here it is high. On the other hand, the same heat is being generated in another case, then but the heat is being dissipated at a much faster rate to the underlying base metal. So the rise in temperature here at the interface is low. You know, the temperature and the metal properties are directly linked. Low temperature means high yield strength and the low ductility, low elongation. On the other hand, if the temperature is high, your yield strength is low and the ductility is high, percentage elongation is high. So when you have the low yield strength and high ductility, this facilitates the deformation very easily. Since the solid state processes, solid state joining processes depend heavily on the deformation for metallic intimacy, for mechanical interlocking, and for you can say, so when things come very close, then only your metallurgical interactions will start. So the metallic intimacy to a great extent is affected by this. This is one aspect because of their role on the deformation. So metallic intimacy is affected because the deformation tendency is affected with the rise in temperature. So when the thermal conductivity is high, yield strength is high, because rise in temperature is very limited, heat is dissipated very fast, ductility is low, so the deformation is less. So the low metallic intimacy, this is one thing. Okay, the second thing is what? The second thing is when the heat dissipation is up to the limited distance, then the metallurgical and mechanical property changes from the weld center, that will be up to limited width. So you can say, due to the in situ heat generation or application, when the thermal conductivity is low, the heat dissipation is up to the limited distance from the interface. As a result, the changes, mechanical or metallurgical changes in the metal which are taking place in vicinity of the joint, they are up to the limited distance. As a result of this will be leading to the narrow heat affected zone. So because a rise in temperature has been up to the very limited distance due to the low thermal conductivity. On the other hand, high thermal conductivity metals, the heat will be dissipated to the greater distances, both the sides. So this will be leading to the wider HZ. Okay, so this is the another aspect related with the thermal conductivity, narrow heat affected zone or wider heat affected zone. The reduced metallic intimacy or increased metallic intimacy. Okay, so if you see, both are undesirable. You are having the lower metallic intimacy, you are having the wider heat affected zone. So you need to put in extra efforts in terms of like high energy density application of the heat or very higher pressure that will be needed to bring the things close to each other so that metallic intimacy can take place. On the other hand, metals of the low thermal conductivity, you are even okay with the moderate heat generation, moderate application of the pressure to realize the desired metallic intimacy. So the point here is very simple. When your thermal conductivity is high, you are going to have more problems in joining, and that is why what we say the aluminium, copper and other high thermal conductivity are little more difficult to weld as compared to the other metals. Like steel is the most convenient to weld. Okay, so this is fundamentally you can understand, and I hope I can talk about the relation also. So both are linked only. So another aspect is thermal expansion coefficient. So thermal expansion coefficient, this is primarily linked with the, you see, you take any process. So if the heat generation during the process is very low, no, so the metal getting heated up to the very rise in temperature is very limited, and that too very narrow region. If this is the case, heat generation is low. If the nature of process is such that heat generation is low, like in impact welding or electromagnetic pulse welding, the whatever heat generation is there, that is due to the conversion of the kinetic energy into the heat energy. So the rise in temperature is there, but it is not very high. And since the rise in temperature, heat generation is less, rise in temperature is very limited, so the differential expansion and contraction in the metal, that will be less. How? That is what is to be understood. Like this is the metal. When you apply heat, lot of heat along the one edge here, so obviously the different rise in temperature in vicinity of the location where heat has been applied, these will try to first thermally expand, and then they will try to contract on cooling. So what you are doing in any case, in all types of the joining processes, whether heat generation is low or more, there is always the differential rise in temperature. And because of this differential rise in temperature at different points, you will notice that there is a differential expansion and contraction. Whenever there is a differential expansion and contraction, you will always see that there is a possibility of the residual stress development. And whenever these are there, you will find the possibility for the distortion, like undesirable geometrical change in the component after the joining. If that you are landing with that, then you may find that despite of developing sound joint, it has to be rejected. Okay, so when the extent, see there heat generation is low, the rise in temperature is very limited, the extent of expansion and contraction is limited, so the problems related with the residual stress and distortions are also less. On the other hand, when it is more, say heat generation is more, so rise in temperature will also be more, expansion and contraction will also be more, and that in turn will be leading to the increased tendency of the distortion and residual stress. This is one aspect. Okay. In line of this, say you have fixed the heat generation. Okay, you will say that your the process is fixed. So you are supplying a particular amount of heat, say 1 kilojoule heat per mm only will be applied. So the at least heat generation is now fixed. Now you take the different metals. Like one side you have one metal having one thermal expansion coefficient, okay, and another set of the metals, like say the metal combination A and metal combination of the B. Okay, so thermal conductivity, one side is just thermal expansion coefficient, one side is just alpha and another side 2 alpha. Okay, so for same heat generation at the interface, this will be expanding twice, or it will try to expand at least twice as compared to the another metal A. So for the same heat generation, here expansion and contraction will be limited. It is just alpha, not 2 alpha as per its thermal expansion coefficient. So means for a given heat generation, one combination of the metals will be expanding and contracting more. So that in turn will be leading to the higher residual stress and distortion tendency as compared to the case where your the expansion and contraction, differential expansion and contraction is very limited due to the low alpha value. Okay, so the point here is, if your alpha is high, your differential expansion and contraction is more, expansion and contraction is more. This will be leading to the increased residual stress and distortion tendency. Okay, so in general, both alpha and K, thermal conductivity and the K, both are going to compromise. No, you have to do now control. If you have high K, if you have high alpha, still if you have to develop a joint, then you need to use special precautions, you need to put in extra efforts so that the joint developed is still sound and free from the undesirable effects like residual stresses and distortion. So in general, what we do, alpha and the K relation, both increasing alpha or increasing K, this will be leading to the reduction in ease of joining. Okay, so if you talk the processes where heat generation is more, the problems will be more. So you can say the ease of joining will be adversely affected, more adversely affected in case with the increase of the alpha and K in processes like FSW where heat generation is more. So in processes where heat generation is less, like explosive welding or magnetic pulse welding, if heat generation is less, heat generation is not an agenda of the process, it is being generated due to the certain typical feature of the process itself. Okay, so in those cases the effect of K and alpha will be limited. Say, so low heat input process, the ease of joining is still reduced, but very marginal way. The limited decrease takes place in ease of joining in the low heat input process, while the extent of reduction in ease of joining is significant for high heat input process like friction stir welding. So and that is what will be taking place with the increase of alpha and K of the metal. So if you take the metals in increasing order of an alpha and K, you will find the reduction in the ease of joining of the metals. Okay, and the same logic here is true for like more difficult to weld the high K and high alpha metals by the resistance welding, where heat is generated under in situ conditions. So whatever you are generating, heat is getting lost. Okay, and so the same is the problem with your other solid state joining processes of the high K metals. So you will see that sometimes the low thermal conductivity, usually the low thermal conductivity and the low expansion coefficient metals are easier to join by the solid state joining processes as compared to the high thermal conductivity and high K metals. Okay, so that's how you can understand it from the effect of the physical properties on the ease of joining. Now coming to the next is your mechanical properties. This is easy to understand. I have already said that these are the two mechanical properties that are of the great importance: yield strength and the ductility, percentage elongation or percentage reduction in area. Also, there are different ways to say this. Okay, so in general, the all solid state joining processes which primarily rely on the diffusion, the plastic deformation, whether it is macro or micro level, followed by the metallurgical reactions and transformations like the recrystallization, grain growth, diffusion, etc. So here to ensure the metallic intimacy and mechanical interlocking, the deformation is important. Okay, so low yield strength. So in general, what we say, low sigma y and high ductility metals. So if this is the combination, then it is good. That will be helping us to improve the ease of joining. Because of the easy deformation tendency, like you need less stresses, and without any tendency of the crack, metal can be easily deformed. Okay, so if you see, this is what we try to get, like those processes where deformation, extent of deformation is more. There are many processes where extent of deformation is very less, and accordingly you will see that ease of joining based on the deformation can be different. Ease of joining based on the deformation can be different, but the trend is completely different for yield strength and the ductility. So if we just try to plot here the variation in the ease of joining as a percentage of the elongation, so what you see, percentage elongation is just say 1%, just like cast iron, less than 1%, or very hardened steel. So those will be very difficult to join using these what you call solid state joining processes. But in some of the processes you don't need much of the plastic deformation. So those processes where you need lot of plastic deformation, metal must be ductile, and that is the case of solid state joining, say joining process like FSW. So if you need lot of elongation, lot of deformation for the success of joining of metal by a particular process, then you need high elongation. So increasing the elongation will be increasing the ease of joining, and this increase will be more for rate of increase will be more for those processes which needs the high deformation, lot of deformation. And the second somewhat lesser deformation is in, like say, explosive welding, and very limited deformation you need in case of the diffusion bonding. So the point here is ease of joining is increased with the increase of percentage elongation or ductility, and this increase in ease of joining is much more for it depends on the process, and the effect is more on the solid state joining process like FSW, and the effect of the elongation on ease of joining is less for the diffusion bonding, where the extent of deformation required is very less. It's micro level deformation, that is what is needed. Okay. On the other hand, if you talk of the yield strength will show just opposite trend. Like say, okay, ease of joining is much more. So increasing yield strength will be making the life difficult with respect to the ease of joining. Ease of joining is reduced in general, and the extent of reduction is much more for those processes where you need lot of deformation. So because of the increased strength, yield strength, this will be making the deformation more difficult. So ease of joining is compromised very badly. And like say, accordingly you can say for like explosive welding and then your diffusion bonding. Okay, and the advantage of the diffusion bonding is that it is performed at a high temperature, so that will be leading to the reduction in yield strength. So that may not be playing a bigger role. So we can put in other processes where the deformation is very limited. So the ease of joining will be marginal decrease in ease of joining with the increase of yield strength, but it is reduced. Ease of joining is reduced with the increase of the yield strength. Okay. So now there are other aspects related with this also, like work hardening, and then there is a physical metallurgy, that is metal strengthening, how the metal strengthening mechanisms are going to affect the ease of joining. So about that, about these two things probably I will be talking in the next lecture. because work hardening needs first the explanation, and in solid state joining how the process will be working and affecting the ease of joining. And similarly in case of similarly the things related to the physical metallurgy and the metal strengthening mechanisms. Okay, so about these two things I will talk in the next lecture. Here I will so this is what I wanted to tell.